just not so good at it. She can get really annoyed when people do something rude, like, for instance, one time in the playground, some other kids made some noises. I don't even know what the noises were exactly, because I didn't hear them myself, but Via heard, and she just started yelling at the kids. That's the way she is. I'm not that way. Via doesn't see me as ordinary. She says she does, but if I were ordinary, she wouldn't feel like she needs to protect me as much. And Mom and Dad don't see me as ordinary either. They see me as extraordinary. I think the only person in the world who realizes how ordinary I am is me. My name is August, by the way. I won't describe what I look like. Whatever you're thinking is probably worse. Next week, I start 5th grade. Since I've never been to a real school before, I'm pretty much totally and completely petrified. People think I haven't gone to school because of the way I look, but it's not that. It's because of all the surgeries I've had. 27 since I was born. The bigger ones happened before I was even 4 years old, so I don't remember those. But I've had 2 or 3 surgeries every year since then. Some big, some small. And because I'm little for my age, and I have some other medical mysterious that doctors never really figured out, I used to get sick a lot. That's why my parents decided it was better if I didn't go to school. I'm much stronger now, though. The last surgery I had was 8 months ago, and I probably won't have to have any more for another couple of years. Mom homeschools me. She used to be children's book illustrator. She draws me really great fairies and mermaids. Her boy stuff isn't so hard to tell. She once tried to draw me a Darth Vader, but it ended up looking like some weird mushroom-shaped robot. I haven't seen her draw anything in a long time. I think she's too busy taking care of me and Via. I can't say I always wanted to go to school, because that wouldn't be exactly true. What I wanted was to go to school, but only if I could be like every other kid going to school. I have lots of friends and hang out after school and stuff like that. I have a few really good friends now. Christopher is my best friend, followed by Zachary and Alex. We've known each other since we were babies, and since they always know me the way I am, they are used to me. When we were little, we used to have play dates all the time, but then Christopher moved to Bridgeport in Connecticut. That's more than an hour away from where I live in North River Heights, which is at the top tip of Manhattan, and Zachary and Alex started going to school. It's funny, even though Christopher's the one who moved far away, I still see him more than I see Zachary and Alex. They have all these new friends now. If we bump into each other on the street, they are still nice to me, though. They always say hello. I have other friends too, but not as good as Christopher and Zach and Alex were. For instance, Zach and Alex always invited me to their birthday parties when we were little, but Joey and Element and Gabe never did. stuff going to. They call it small anomalies. There were two nurses in the delivery room the night I was born. One was very nice and sweet. The other one, Mom said, did not seem at all nice or sweet. She had very big arms. And here comes the funny part. She kept farting like she'd bring Mom some ice chips and then fart. She would check Mom's blood pressure and fart. Mom says it was unbelievable because the nurse never even said excuse me. Meanwhile, Mom's regular doctor wasn't on duty that night, so Mom got stuck with this cranky kid doctor she and Dad nicknamed Doggy after some old TV show or something. They didn't actually call him Dad to his face, but Mom says that even though everyone in the room was kind of grumpy, Dad kept making her laugh all night long. When I came out of Mom's stomach, she said the whole room got very quiet. Mom didn't even get a chance to look at me because the nice nurse immediately rushed me out of the room. Dad was in such a hurry to follow her that he dropped the video camera, which broke into a million pieces. And then Mom got very upset and tried to get out of bed to see where they were going. But the farting nurse put her very big arms on Mom to keep her down in the bed. They were practically fighting because Mom was hysterical and the farting nurse was yelling at her to stay calm. And then they both started screaming for the doctor. But guess what? He had fainted right on the floor. So when the farting nurse saw that he had fainted, she started pushing him with her foot to get him to wake up, yelling at him the whole time. What kind of doctor are you? What kind of doctor are you? Get up, get up. And then all of a sudden, she let out the biggest, loudest, smallest fart in the history of farts. Mom thinks it was actually the fart that finally woke the doctor up. Anyway, when Mom tells this story, she acts out all the parts, including the farting noises, and it is so funny. Mom says the farting nurse turned out to be a very nice woman. She stayed with Mom the whole time. Didn't leave her side, even after Dad came back and the doctors told him how sick I was. Mom remembers exactly what the nurse whispered in her ear when the doctor told her I probably wouldn't live through the night. Everyone born of God overcommits the world. And the next day, after I had lived through the night, it was that nurse who held Mom's hand when they brought her to meet me for the first time. Mom says by then they had told her all about me. She had been preparing herself for the seeing of me. But she says that when she looked down into my tiny, mushed up face for the first time, all she could say was how pretty my eyes were. Mom is beautiful, by the way, and Dad is handsome. Via is pretty, in case you were wondering. Christopher's house. I was really bummed when Christopher moved away 3 years ago. We were both around 7 then. We used to spend hours playing with our Star Wars action figures and dueling with our lightsabers. I miss that. Last spring, we drove over to Christopher's house in Bridgeport. Me and Christopher were looking for snacks in the kitchen, and I heard Mom talking to Lisa, Christopher's mom, about my going to school in the fall. I had never ever heard her mention school before. What are you talking about? I said. Mom looked surprised, like she hadn't meant for me to hear that. You should tell him what you've been thinking, Isabel, Dad said. He was on the other side of the living room talking to Christopher's dad. We should talk about this later, said Mom. No, I want to know what you were talking about, I answered. Don't you think you're ready for school, Augie? Mom said. No, I said. I don't either, said Dad. Then that's it. Case closed, I said, shrugging, and I sat in her lap like I was a baby. I just think you need to learn more than I can teach you, Mom said. I mean, come on, Augie, you know how bad I am at fractions. What school? I said. I already felt like crying. Beecher Prep, right by us. Wow, that's a great school, Augie, said Lisa, patting my knee. Why not Via's school? I said. That's too big, Mom answered. I don't think that would be a good fit for you. I don't want to, I said. I admit. I made my voice sound a little babyish. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, Dad said, coming over and lifting me out of Mom's lap. He carried me over to sit on his lap on the other side of the sofa. We won't make you do anything you don't want it to do. But it would be good for him, Nate, Mom said. Not if he doesn't want to, answered Dad, looking at me. Not if he's not ready. I saw Mom look at Lisa, who reached over and squeezed her hand. You guys will figure it out, she said to Mom. You always have. Let's just talk about it later, said Mom. I could tell she and Dad were going to get in a fight about it. I wanted Dad to win the fight, though a part of me knew Mom was right, and the truth is, she really was terrible at fractions. Driving. It was a long drive home. I fell asleep in the back seat like I always do, my head on Via's lap like she was my pillow. I took a towel wrapped around the seat suddenly crying. Honey, Mom said. She turned around in the front seat and put her hand on my head. You know, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But we spoke to the principal, dear, and told him about you, and he really wants to meet you. What did you tell him about me? How funny you are, and how kind and smart. When I told him you read Dragon Reader when you were 6, he was like, wow, I have to meet this kid. Did you tell him anything else? I said. Mom smiled at me. Her smile kind of hugged me. I told him about all your surgeries and how brave you are, she said. So he knows what I look like, I asked. Well, we bought pictures from last summer in Moda. Dad said we showed him pictures of the whole family and that great shot of you holding that flounder on the boat. You were there too. I have to admit I feel a little disappointed that he was a part of this. We both talked to him. Yes, Dad said. He's a really nice man. You would like him, Mom added. Suddenly, I felt like they were on the same side. Wait, so when did you meet him? I said. He took us on a tour of the school last year, said Mom. Last year, I said. So you've been thinking about this for a whole year and you didn't tell me. We didn't know if you'd even get in Augie, answered Mom. It's a very hard school to get into. There's a whole admissions process. I didn't see the point in telling you and having you get all worked up about it unnecessarily. But you were right, Augie. We should have told you when we found out last month that you got in, said Dad. In hindsight, said Mom. Yes, I guess. Did that lady who came to the house that time have something to do with this? I sighed. The one that gave me that test. Yes, actually. Is that for real? I said. Reporter, but Mom answered, raising her hand as if to swear. Bobby Butt. So she had huge cheeks, said Dad. Nate, said Mom. What? She had big cheeks is all I'm saying. Mom laughed and shook her head at the same time. Hey, I know, said Dad excitedly. Let's fix them up on a blind date. Can you imagine Miss Butt meets Mr. Tushman? Mr. Tushman, here's Miss Butt. They could be married and have a bunch of little tushies. Poor Mr. Tushman, answered Mom, shaking her head. Augie hasn't even met the man yet, Nate. Who's Mr. Tushman? Via said grudgingly. She had just woken up. He's the principal of my new school, I answered. Paging Mr. Tushman. I would have been more nervous about meeting Mr. Tushman if I know I was also going to be meeting some kids from the new school. But I didn't know, so if anything, I was kind of giggly. I couldn't stop thinking about all the jokes Daddy had made about Mr. Tushman's name. So, when me and Mom arrived at Beecher Prep a few weeks before the start of school, and I saw Mr. Tushman standing there, waiting for us at the entrance, I started giggling right away. I didn't look at all like what I pictured, though. I guess I thought he would have a huge butt, but I didn't. In fact, he was a pretty normal guy, tall and thin, old, but not really old. He seemed nice. He shook my mom's hand first. Hi, Mr. Tushman. It's so nice to see you again, said Mom. This is my son, August. Mr. Tushman looked right at me and smiled and nodded. He put his hands out for me to shake. Hi, August, he said, totally normally. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, I mumbled, dropping my hand into his hand while I looked down at his feet. He was wearing red Adidas. So, he said, kneeling down in front of me so I couldn't look at his sneakers, but had to look at his face. Your mom and dad have told me a lot about you. Like, what have they told you? I asked. Sorry. Honey, you have to speak up, said Mom. Like what? I asked, trying not to mumble. I admit I have a bad habit of mumbling. Well, that you like to read, said Mr. Tushman, and that you are a great artist. He had blue eyes with white eyelashes. And you're into science, right? I said, nodding. We have a couple of great science electives at Preacher. He said, maybe you take one of them. I said, though I had no idea what an elective was. So, are you ready to take a tour? You mean we are doing that now? I said. Did you think we were going to the movies? He answered, smiling as he stood up. You didn't tell me we were taking a tour, I said to Mom in my squeeze or an I'm sorry squeeze. Probably a little of both. The only school I've ever been inside before was Via's. When I went with mom and dad to watch Via sing in spring concerts and stuff like that, this school was very different. It was smaller. It smelled like a hospital. 애써 담배를 찾기라도 가득 머리를 긁어댔다. 하지만 선생님 여기 아무것도 안 키우고 계시는데 내가 내 화단에 뭘 하든 무슨 빌어먹을 간섭이야. 물때는 재빨리 고개를 끄덕였다. 이 정체불명의 사내를 더 이상 자극하는 일을 피하고 싶은 게 분명했다. 그는 자기를 도와주길 바라듯 아내를 돌아봤다. 그녀는 그럴 생각이 없이 보였다. 물때가 다시 오배를 봤다. 임신 중입니다. 보시다시피요. 호르몬이랑 그런 것들 때문에 그가 미소를 짓으며 분위기를 바꿔보려 노력했다. 임신한 아내는 미소 짓지 않았다. 오배도 오지 않았다. 그녀가 팔짱을 꼈다. 오배는 허리띠에 손을 찔러 넣었다. 물때는 자기 커다란 손을 억지케야 할지 모르는 것 같았다. 그는 좀 부끄러운 듯 두 손을 이리저리 흔들었다. 마치 손이 천으로 만들어져서 바람에 불러기라도 하듯. 제가 차를 옮겨서 다시 해보겠습니다. 마침내 그가 그렇게 말하면 오배의 마음을 누그러뜨리려 다시 미소를 지었다. 오배는 회답하지 않았다. 자동차는 여기 못 들어와. 저기 표시판 있잖아. 물때는 뒤로 물러서면 열심히 고개를 끄덕였다. 터벅터벅 돌아가서는 자기 몸 지수보다 한참 아래인 일제 자동차에 몸을 비틀어 넣었다. 맙소사. 오배와 임신부가 맥이 딱 풀려서 동시에 종을 끌었다. 이걸 던자 오배는 그녀가 약간 덜 싫어지게 됐다. 물때가 차를 몇 미터 앞으로 빼는 모습을 보고 오배는 그가 트레일을 똑바로 해두지 않는다는 것을 확인할 수 있었다. 그러더니 다시 차를 후진시켜 오배의 우편함으로 곡장 달렸다. 녹색 철제 우편함에 찌그러졌다. 오배가 쿵쾅거리며 달려가 차문을 회열어 젖혔다. 물때가 다시 발을 포드덕거리기 시작했다. 제 잘못입니다. 제 잘못이에요. 죄송합니다. 베밀러의 우편함이 안 보셨어요? 이 트레일을 차 운전하기 힘들어요. 바퀴를 어느 쪽으로 돌려야 할지 감이 안 나요. 오배가 차 지붕을 주먹으로 너무 세게 내리치는 바람에 물때가 펄쩍 뛰면서 머리를 천장에 부딪혔다. 차에서 내려. 네, 차에서 내려라고 했다. 물때는 오배에게 조금 놀란 눈길을 던졌지만 말대꾸를 할 만큼 용기가 있는 것 같지는 않았다. 대신 차에서 내려 선생님에게 혼난 아이가 교실 구석에 서 있는 것처럼 차 옆에 섰다. 오배는 주택들 사이에 난길로 발을 붙여 자전거 보건소와 주차 왼쪽 개념을 세우고 나서 핸들을 돌리는 게 뭐가 어렵다는 거지. 이런 인간들이 자기 인생에 대체 어떻게 꾸려나가는 거지. 오베는 이 차가 오토라는 것을 확인했다. 그럴 줄 알았어. 이 얼간애들은 차를 제대로 후진시키기는 그냥 제 손으로 직접 몰려고도 하지 않으니까 그는 그 일을 뒤로 놓고 조금씩 앞으로 나아갔다. 일제 오토 차량 외에 진짜 차를 운전할 수 없는 사람에게 또 운전면허를 발급해야만 하는지 오베는 궁금했다. 주차도 제대로 못하는 사람이 투표권을 가져도 정말 괜찮은 건지 의심스러웠다. 그는 분명 님들이 트레이를 후진시키기 전에 그릇 차를 앞으로 뺀 다음 트레이를 바로 잡고 나서 후진에 들어갔다. 곧 차에게 끽끽거리는 소음이 나기 시작했다. 오베는 화가 나서 차 안을 돌려봤다. 빌어먹을 대체는 또 뭐야? 왜 이런 소리를 했는데? 그는 계기판에다 내고 시시거리더니 핸들을 내렸다. 그만해랬지. 내가 그가 집요하게 반짝이는 빨간 불에 대고 소리를 질렀다. 그와 동시에 물대가 차 옆에 나타났으면 조심스럽게 차장을 두드렸다. 오베가 차창을 내리고 물대에게 짜증스런 눈길을 던진다. 호방 담지기가 소리를 내는 거예요. 물대가 고개를 끄덕이며 말했다. 내가 그거도 모를까봐. 내가 그거도 모를까봐. 오베의 속이 부글부글 끓어오른다. 이 차가 좀 별난긴해요. 선생님이 괜찮으시다면 제가 제 장치에 대해 알려드릴 수 있을 것 같은데. 난 머저리가 아니야. 오베가 코김을 내보면 말했다. 물대가 열심히 고개를 끄덕였다. 그럼요, 맞습니다. 당연하죠. 오베가 계기판을 노려보며 물었다. 이게 대체 뭘 하고 있는 거지? 물대가 열정적으로 고개를 끄덕였다. 그건 배터리의 파워가 얼마나 남아있는지 측정하고 있는 거거든요. 그러니까 전기 모터에서 궤발유가 움직이는 모터로 바꾸긴 전에요. 왜냐면 이게 하이브리드 차량이라서. 오베는 대답하지 않았다. 그는 물대기차 밖에서 입을 반쯤 벌리고 있는 걸 놔둔 채 천천히 차장을 올렸다. 오베는 왼쪽 사이드 미러를 확인했다. 그럼 다음 오른쪽을 확인했다. 그는 일제 자동차가 놀라서 깨깨 비명을 지르는 동안 차를 후진시키고 트레이를 자기 집과 무능한 새 이후 하지 말아야 한다고. 말대가 기꺼이 고개를 끄덕였다. 도와주셔서 감사합니다. 마치 오베가 지난 10분 동안 자기를 모욕한 적이 없다는 양 그가 큰 소리를 말했다. 당신 같은 사람은 카세트 플레이어스도 되감기 가면 안 돼. 오베가 투덜거렸다. 인신부는 발장을 긴 채 있었지만 아까만큼 화가 난 것처럼 보이지 않았다. 그녀는 자기가 웃으려고